Welcome on into the podcast. I'm Brett,
I'm Dorian.
and we got some nerd news for you.
Sure do. So this week we're going to be talking about Chris Evans possible or possibly returning to the MCU. Some new Star Wars and Indiana Jones games got announced. We're going to be also talking about WandaVision's 2-episode debut. But first things first, before we get to all of that, we got some new details on Deadpool 3.
Yeah, it's going to be an MCU movie. That's all we know really so far, and that Ryan Reynolds is part of the writing process
Mhm.
and kind of overseeing that since this is kind of his baby, which I think is cool. Like they didn't try to change anything. Um, I think the
Yeah.
franchise is a little too big to not make a movie with how it's been received recently.
Yeah.
Guessing it's not going to have that Disney logo though.
Yeah, well, and it will be a rated R movie, so chances are
Yeah.
probably not. However, I could see him like possibly doing like a bit with that here or something like that. But
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm
I
sure.
mean, we'll see. But I mean, I'm glad this is going to be a part of the MCU because that was kind of my main question about this movie for the longest time. I mean, the real question is like, is it going to be like how the Netflix shows were a part of the MCU?
Mm.
You know, like Daredevil,
Yeah,
where
I'm
even
guessing it
though
kind of has to be.
even though like we're like technically yes, like they existed in the same universe, you had them talk about like like name drop Captain America or the Avengers like every now and again and talk about the Battle of New York every now and again,
Mhm, mhm.
like just here and there, but nothing like actually like concrete. They didn't show up at like the end of Endgame or anything like that here.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's how his standalones will probably be, and then they'll probably bring him into some team ups. I'm guessing you kind of have to, especially maybe Spider-Man.
Right, and
Um,
that's kind of what I'm hoping at least we get the Spider-Man team up, and then I mean eventually, when they do introduce X-Men, they got to have that Wolverine and Deadpool team up as well.
yeah, yeah. However they want to bring that in, there's some rumors with Secret Invasion and all that we might potentially get a Huge Jackman, is
Ye-
what people call him.
Yep. I mean,
Wolverine.
I mean
So
for
there's a lot of
Wolverine.
and this was my other theory for what we're going to talk about next, which I guess is a good segue.
Mhm.
Chris Evans being back in the MCU
Yeah. So I mean,
potentially. I mean,
potentially.
we don't know what that looks like. It could be like I was just saying, it could be a Secret Invasion thing where someone body doubles him, and or like it's a scroll, or I don't
Yeah.
know, or it could be old man,
Steve
Steve
Rogers. Yeah.
Rogers, and there's like a whole story arc, I guess, with that in the comics. So I never read it, but I guess there's a whole old man.
Yeah.
We had Old Man Logan. There's an Old Man Rogers kind of story arc.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it's something that happened like just a couple years back where this is where like Falcon like for the first time took on the mantle as Captain
hmm
America, and basically the aging process caught up to Captain America, so he's kind of old and retired now, so he
You
had
think
to
this?
pass it off to someone else here.
You think they could be shooting something now for Falcon Winter Soldier?
I don't think it for this season. No, I at least like in terms of like Chris Evans coming back to the MCU. I think they would have had to like seal that deal like a while ago to
Well,
like make it for this season here. To
do
be
you
honest.
remember though when they signed Tom Holland? It was literally like he got the job on Monday, and on Wednesday he was shooting Civil War.
Yeah,
Like it
that's
was
true.
something insane like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess, but I mean, right now it's like if it seems like that they're in the negotiation process here because I mean,
hmm
according to the reports, he's in talks and it's only as a guest appearance, not like as a full-fledged like, Captain America movie or anything along those lines. It's supposed to be, maybe more cameo and in its existence essentially, but yeah, I mean because Evans was like asked about this by like I think some journalists last May about uh if he would ever return as Captain America, and he said at the time that was a hard no because he felt like Cap's story got wrapped up and it ended on a good note. So yeah, I mean, I I don't know. I mean, I feel like it could be maybe like a post credit scene at the end of season 1 of Falcon Winter Soldier at
Yeah.
minimum, or at the most, I mean. But yeah, it is yeah, I feel like this is going to be like maybe more like a season 2 thing.
Yeah, it
Because I
could
mean,
be.
I think I could see him like, and I think Falcon and Winter Soldier is the most likely place that you could see him pop up as Old Man Steve Rogers, kind of like what they did with Leonard Nimoy as Spock in the last couple of Star Trek movies, where he kind of took on as like the mentor figure and like kind of like would pop up and offer some sage advice every now and again, type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, there are more Avengers movies coming out eventually, so you never know.
Yeah, which I mean, that's bringing us to our next point here is, Kevin Feige uh, recently was asked about, will there be more Avengers movies? And basically his response was, you know, kind of coy, kind of vague, but, he did confirm that there would be more Avengers movies. I mean, his actual quote is, I would have to think so. I would have to say yes at some point. So no other real details about it at this point in time. And I mean, again, I guess it makes sense. I mean, the real question is like, what is that roster going to actually look like here? Because it's obviously not coming in phase 4. It'd have to be like phase 5, maybe phase 6 at the earliest here, in all honesty, from what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have people in place, but there's going to have to be a couple more movies in order for there to be a rounded out crew for this
Right.
next movie.
I mean, well,
They could do
especially
one. They could do one with the roster they have now, but
especially considering how they don't have Chadwick Boseman anymore, and they gotta get that whole thing figured out. I'm sure that's probably thrown a little bit of a monkey wrench into their plans, because I could see T'Challa being like a pretty big uh character in like, or like a significant team member in like the next Avengers or whatever.
yeah. Um, we got some Sony news as
We
well.
did, yeah.
Got some delays. Just
Yeah.
one right now, but Morbius is delayed again.
Mhm.
I'm hoping we still get that Absolute Carnage movie, Venom, the sequel soon.
Oh, Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah. And then so this was supposed to come out March 19th. Now it's coming out October 8th, which kind
Yeah.
of I guess is the vibe of Morbius. I mean he's a vampire, so it's got the
Sure.
Halloween vibe anyway, so why not?
Yeah, you know what else has a Halloween vibe? The Batman.
No,
Put it out, WB.
never heard of it.
Yeah. I mean, and you know what doesn't have a Halloween vibe? Dune. So
That's true.
just saying, but I mean, this is kind of discouraging news, just because when we started hearing these delays, because we're almost a year into this pandemic here,
Hmm.
and we were kind of all hoping and thinking that, like by this time, like, March of next year or of this year, that things would kind of be going back to normal. And there, you had Wonder Woman that came out on both HBO Max and theaters, and I don't think that really moved the needle for theaters really all that much. So it's still kind of a very risky venture putting a movie out at this point in time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get political, so I'm just not going to say anything.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you would think things are back to normal, right? 99.96 survivability rate, but
Yeah.
nope, that's not good enough.
Nope. Nope. So now it needs to be 99.67,
It needs
or
to be lower.
or yeah, sure.
9.7.
Yeah. whatever the what's one above what you just said. I forget exactly what the
Yeah.
number was, but whatever. So
So yeah, good news, I guess. Amazon's Lord of the Rings gave some plot details.
yeah, so this is going to be set. At least now we officially know that this is going to be set thousands of years before the events of The Hobbit and The Lord
Hmm.
of the Rings, which is considered the second age of Middle Earth. It's also going to focus on how like some great powers and kingdoms of Middle Earth came to be, which also include the OG Dark Lord Morgoth and Sauron himself here. Um, so I was under the impression when I first heard about this show, like when it first got announced, that this was going to be essentially a prequel that focused on Aragorn and Legolas and all
Yeah,
that. And now it's like, okay, well, I mean, I'm actually kind of more excited that it's not going to try to, tie itself to you know, like directly to those characters per se here. So I'm actually
yeah, I like that
glad for
move
that,
too.
but it's I just don't understand like uh where the change came into place here, I mean, this still feels like one of those shows that we always hear updates about, but
Haven't seen anything.
we don't yeah, it feels like it's perpetually in development. It's like there's no trailer, there's no release date for this. It's always being like worked on. Like I think a couple weeks back there was like a bunch of news about a bunch of people getting cast for it. It's like how long have you guys been working on this here?
Yeah, for real.
It feels like this has been going on for like a long time for something that's already been in production here.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, who knows at this point? And that's the same thing for Mortal Kombat. We got a first look at that this last week, and man, this is even closer to releasing. And all we've gotten was a logo teaser. We got the
Yeah.
the new logo for Mortal Kombat, and you just sent me pictures that they released, which was nothing really. I mean, it was a tease at best.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, essentially, yeah, just production stills from like, some of the
from
characters look
from a
like.
movie that comes out in literally 3 months to when we're
Yeah.
recording, like literally 3 months from now, it comes out.
I mean, I think they will probably drop something. I don't know, probably later today, knowing our
Probably,
luck. But
probably. We're
but
recording on the 15th, and so I usually Fridays, we always text each other and are like, "Stinking Fridays, man." And then some big news breaks, and then it's a week later, so we sometimes we cover it, sometimes we don't, but yeah,
sometimes,
they're
yeah,
they're slowly releasing, like, there was, like, a Twitter account, I'm not sure who it is, if it's, like, the director or one of the actors, and it's like, something's coming tomorrow, but spelled it with a K. Something, ominous like that, or it's like alluding to Mortal Kombat. And
yeah,
then we got after the logo got revealed, we got the stills today.
yeah,
For actually Friday of last week, but we got the
yeah.
stills. So I don't know. Maybe tomorrow or Monday we get a trailer and all is good or
It
all is bad
it, it
because
it's got to be soon. But I mean, in terms of like what we got right now, or right now, I would say, honestly, it doesn't look bad. I mean, I just need to see like what it looks like in motion, though, just because that's going to be pretty key for like a movie that has like a heavy martial arts influence here.
yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely liking some of the casting, like,
Sure.
uh, and so I don't know, it looks good, but even Jax, his arms looked kind of cool. Like they
Yeah.
didn't look too fake.
No, I mean, it didn't look like cheap or cheesy per se in
Yeah,
like, that regard. So no, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how when that trailer drops, like how everything's going to look like, you know, in motion and everything like that. But yeah,
yeah.
I got to they got to be dropping something like, I don't know, with it by the time we record next week, we're probably going to be talking about that trailer. I
I hope so. I
that,
hope so.
that's my guess.
Yeah. Well, we got some gaming news coming your way right now. Indiana Jones is getting a game, and it's coming from Bethesda, which that's good news.
Yeah, so it's not going to be developed by like, the same development team from like Skyrim or Fallout or anything like that. This is going to be developed by Machine Games, who are the guys who made the most recent Wolfenstein game. So the New Order, New Colossus,
Yeah.
Youngblood, all those ones. But they released a 30-second teaser trailer, which really didn't show a whole lot. Just kind of showed a bunch of like books and treasure maps and like kind of common stuff that you would see in an Indiana Jones movie, and then you get to the iconic hat and whip, and then you realize what you're watching a trailer for here. But
Mm.
no, I think having the guys who did Wolfenstein is a good choice, just because they have, for one, they have a decent pedigree to them, and then they also have experience doing things like settings that are very 1930s or 1930s and 40s inspired.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely works out for them. I would say Naughty Dog would have been my first choice as a developer, just because they already made like 4 or 5 unofficial
Yeah.
Indiana Jones games with
Uncharted.
Uncharted.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm curious to see how this plays out, and especially considering how Machine Games, you know, the only things that they've really done have been first person shooters. So will this be a first person Indiana Jones game or something like that? I kind of doubt that, but we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it plays. Will it be more linear? Will it be a little more open world, or kind of like a wide corridor game? I don't know. We'll find out.
I mean, essentially what you're getting is another Uncharted game.
Pretty much,
That's
yeah.
what Uncharted is. He's Indiana Jones, but
Oh,
more modern.
yeah, no,
Um,
without a
I mean,
doubt.
it's funny because now Uncharted's crossing over into cinema.
Movies,
Yeah,
yeah, and
so
now Indiana Jones
crossing to
is a
video games.
crossover video games. Yeah, the yeah. Well, I mean, technically, I mean, Harrison Ford is coming back here for Indiana
Yeah,
Jones
we'll
5,
see.
but
We'll see.
yeah,
Speaking of crossing over and Harrison Ford, for that matter,
yeah,
um, Ubisoft is making an open world Star Wars game. EA no longer holds the exclusive rights,
yeah.
and
Now,
now Lucasfilm is coming out of
yeah,
Lucasfilm
which
Games, and yeah, this is good news for everyone. I feel like.
which bear in mind, this does not mean that EA will no longer be making Star Wars
Oh
games,
no,
just
they're for
because
sure making Fallen Order 2. Like
they
that's happening right now.
yeah, no, I mean, it's not officially announced, I don't think, just quite yet, but think from what I've heard and like from around the rumor mill, it's been uh, all but confirmed that Respawn is making Fallen Order 2. So which is good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, so Ubisoft will be tackling a open world Star Wars game. It'll be story driven. It'll be developed by Ubisoft Massive, which are the guys that made the Division games.
Mhm.
It will be original adventure that will, I quote, be different from anything that's been done before, end
Okay.
quote. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, and it will be treated as canon material here,
Hmm.
uh, which a little side note, going forward, pretty much all Star Wars games will be treated as canon. So, but there's no really further details other than that. I mean, it doesn't say like what time period it's going to be, or how, or like like what the gameplay is going to be like, and nothing like that. So we'll just
If
have to wait
I
and see on that.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would
Mhm.
say it's gonna be High Republic just because that's the media push right now. You
Right,
know, we got the books, we got the comics, we have potentially an animated series coming. There's a lot of
right.
things that are, I mean, I don't really care when it's said. I just think that this is like the best news in a long time, and I think we're long overdue for something like this with an open world Star Wars game.
Oh, very much so. Um, like back when Bethesda was at its height with like Skyrim, I was thinking to myself, these guys need to make a Star Wars version of this here or
Yeah.
something like that. But um, yeah, I think I think that you may be correct uh on the High Republic here in terms of like what is probably going to be the most likely setting, just because I mean, granted, I haven't read any of the High Republic stuff that came out, but one of the things that they said was like it's going to be kind of a little bit more cowboyish in terms of like Jedi going to like different planets to kind of help establish order for the Republic and stuff like that. So I could totally see that like
Sounds
formula
like High
work.
Republic.
Right, right, and that's I could totally see them like putting that formula in an open world game here.
For sure.
So I mean, it makes total sense in terms of like like side quests and like main quests and like going to different planets and like having a bunch of places to just roam out and explore, kind of like your friend, just pushing trailblazing, pushing the boundaries of like the civilization and planets and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
no, I'm just really hoping that this will be amazing, just because Ubisoft does have a reputation for releasing open world games that are just buggy as everything. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, and fingers crossed for this next game we're going to talk about too, Gotham Knights. Apparently, combat's being reworked completely because they want it to be more of a co-op game.
Right, which I mean, we all knew this was going to be, this was going to be a co-op game like from the get-go here, and when this game was first shown at DC Fandom back in I think July, it was somewhere around
Mhm.
there. Um, like the combat kind of seemed like it had a Arkham feel to it, like the free flowing combat style.
Yeah,
So, but they basically said that they're scrapping that to make something that better uh, focuses on or emphasizes the co-op aspect of the game. So, what that means per se, I am not entirely sure. WB Montreal said that it will feel different from the Arkham games, but it won't be entirely like alien to anybody who's played the Arkham games before. So,
that's good.
so that being said, this does make me less interested in this game, just because I was kind of curious to see, okay, so we're gonna have free flowing combat, you know, a free flowing combat system in a co-op game here. So,
Mhm.
which I mean, to me, this sounds like this will be a less involved combat system in favor of something a little bit more passive, like kind of almost MMO-ish, or, you know, like games of its ilk of like, kind of like Destiny likes, or, games
Yeah,
that are just more focused on stats and whatnot. So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound like great news in all honesty.
yeah. We'll just have to wait and see because it can mean a million things right now, and
It
uh,
could. And I
yeah,
think I think one of the other I think the other thing that this that's not being said here about this game is I think they just delayed this game, in all honesty. Like
that's what it sounds like. Yeah,
it's supposed to come out this year, but I would bet that it is probably going to be next year at the earliest here. If they're redesigning the combat, that's
yeah.
yeah.
That's a pretty big feat.
That is. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about probably the
The main
main
part of the game.
activity that you're doing in the game. Exactly. I mean, so yeah, we'll see.
Well, let's talk about a game that is coming out this year, and that is, well, we got basically DLC. How many years later for this game? I don't even
Uh,
know.
see, I think
8?
it came out in 2013. So yeah, 8 years. Yeah.
So Bowser's Fury coming from Super Mario 3D. Excuse me.
Mhm.
Right, Super Mario 3D World, right? Yeah,
Worlds. Yeah.
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 Um, we're getting a Bowser's Fury DLC, and obviously it coming over from Wii U to Switch. And so we got a new trailer and it's kind of and then we got like another trailer after that, kind of. But it'll be a free roaming experience similar to Odyssey. Like for those of you who played Super Mario 3D World, uh, it was a fixed camera pretty
It w-
much.
It was, and it was more linear based and kinda like
Very, very much
curated
linear.
levels, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Like
a lot of fun. It ruined a lot of relationships,
yep,
specifically,
yep.
you and Tim Seabrecht, but actually, this might blow your mind. So I was playing, some games with Tim Seabrecht the other day,
Oh,
and
were ya?
he said he's gonna be picking it up.
I don't think he's allowed to.
No, he said it's a different game because it's Bowser. He's only gonna play Bowser's Fury,
Oh my gosh,
which
of
that's
course he would have a loophole.
well, I mean,
That's
it's
r
true though
that
because you don't even have to play the full game to unlock Bowser's Fury. You can go
that
straight into Bowser's Fury.
that is true. I mean, that is like $60 is, uh, a pretty, uh, a pretty steep, price tag for just paying for something that's probably only gonna be, like, a couple hours long here.
Yeah, and we don't really know the full details on that. They said it's gonna be a short adventure. Could be an hour, could be 5, 6 hours. Who knows? I'm hoping it's longer, especially if it's
Yeah,
gonna be a full price game.
sure.
Um, this trailer and everything made me want the game though. They did what they
No,
needed to do.
I mean, it definitely made me want the game as well here just because, I mean, the new area that they introduce, which is the big free roaming area. I mean, yeah, it gives me like strong Odyssey vibes. Like it's
Big
like
time,
one of the
honestly.
it's one of those things where I look at it and I'm like, this could have totally been like DLC for Odyssey or
Well, and
something like that.
that's what I was confused by is like why was this
Not
not
put it's
DLC
not.
for Odyssey?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they just needed. I it may have been at one point in time,
Yeah, could have
and
been.
and they and they just decided not to move ahead with the DLC for Odyssey, but they decided to incorporate the ideas uh, that they had for that into this game here. So I think it's just kind of a. I mean, Nintendo does that all the time here for the most part, but um, no, I mean it's like the area that we see looks very like honestly like really cool, like really well designed. It's I mean, but the main reason why we all want to play this is we got like you know Giga Bowser coming back
Yeah,
essentially here, who's huge and he's like wrecking everything, and he's like the size of a mountain, and you get a power up that turns you into
Super Saiyan Great Ape Cat.
yeah, basically like ba- and I mean that's the thing you're most
Oh
excited
yeah,
for is
that's
just
the only reason.
just like Mario going Super Saiyan in a cat outfit here,
Yeah.
basically. So,
He looked more like
I
a
mean,
lion, but yeah.
well, yeah, but I mean, and even the hair is like very Super Saiyan
Oh, yeah.
esque.
No,
I
there was
mean,
definitely some vibes going on.
oh, big time.
Definitely.
Yeah,
So, yeah, no, it looks awesome, like, the gameplay they showed and all that, and, um,
yeah,
yeah, it really reminds me more of Odyssey than the 3D Mario worlds. Um, excited for this. This comes out in, mid-February, I think.
yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it too. My biggest thing is how much is or like how long will it be?
Yeah.
I mean, because if this is like a a fairly significant chunk, like let's say like this is like maybe anywhere from 10 to 7 hours, I would say that's probably worth it in my opinion
Yeah.
here. But
Yeah.
if it's like maybe 2 to 3 hours somewhere around there, that's kind of disappointing in my opinion. I feel
I
like
agree.
again, I mean, you are getting like a fully fledged, really fun co-op Mario game that came out on the Wii U as a part of this. But I mean, if this is like supposed to be your big draw to get people to come, like Bowser's Fury is be the big thing that kind of get people who already bought this game to come in and play it again.
Mhm.
It's got to be at least more than like 3 hours for me to even like consider buying it.
Totally. Yeah, no, I agree. I think if it's around that 7-hour mark, that's worth it. Um, we'll see. We got a couple weeks before it comes out, so
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. And other news and delays, Hogwarts Legacy, the open world kind of Harry Potter game, is delayed to
Yeah.
2022 to give it the time it needs. Which reminds me of something that's on our show notes.
Yeah.
Um, Cyberpunk 2077 owner came out, or that owner, but I think maybe
One of the
CEO,
one
one
of
of the
the
higher
heads.
ups,
Yeah.
came out and just basically said and apologized for how crappy their game is and that they're going to fix it. Basically,
Yeah, which I mean, you're about a month late on that here, but
I don't think anyone's
whatever.
buying that game regardless of what happens.
Yeah. I mean, that game has sold pretty well here, at least on Steam on that front here. But I mean, they did kind of lay out like a roadmap in terms of what it's going to be looking like when they're going to be putting out like their patches, and also they have like a window of like where they're just going to give people free DLC for their trouble here. And they also kind of went over like what the next gen versions of this game are going to look like, just because when you buy this game like on your Xbox Series X or your PS5, you're not actually playing like the version that's optimized for that. You're playing the PS4 or Xbox One version that's been essentially like up-resed up, and like kind of tuned up a little bit because of the hardware here. They but they are going to be releasing a PS5, Xbox One version or Xbox Series X version of this game, and people who already own the game will just be able to upgrade to it for free. So,
Nice.
so,
Well,
I mean, they're taking the right steps to kind of help buy back some goodwill, but you could have just delayed it, man, and just
yeah, learn
called it
from Harry
good.
Potter, delay it.
Well, yeah, yeah,
Anyway, or Hogwarts, I guess. But another thing that we missed last week while we were recording, because we recorded last Friday, was there was this big Monster Hunter, um, what do you call it? Kind of
like
direct,
showcase or
basically
whatever.
showcase, yeah. And they dropped a demo that day, which is actually pretty dope. I don't know if you've gotten time to play it, Dorian, but uh,
No, I honestly haven't here. I mean, yeah,
Monster
but
Hunter Rise looks legit. It's basically Monster Hunter World, but on the Switch,
that's cool.
in a lot of senses. I mean, very limited to what you can do in the demo, but you can play online with friends, which is dope.
Yeah, that's what I
Um,
was gonna ask. Like, because I haven't really seen, at least like when I've seen that game, a whole lot of like emphasis on like the whole co-op play, which is pretty integral to like most Monster Hunter games, from what I
yeah, so
understand.
you're able to play with friends. There's two different missions you can kind of go on, and then uh two kind of, what do you call it, like they're teaching you how to do the writing, because you can like one of the big things they revealed was you can use your grapple and hook thing, the can't remember what it's called, but basically you can use that to ride monsters
Oh, really?
and fight the other monsters. Yeah,
Okay,
it
okay,
looks sick.
that's that's something. That's
Yeah,
something.
so they have you learn how to do that and then fight another monster, and yeah, so super cool in that regard. You can ride your
You're,
Palamute, which is your dog,
yeah.
like has like a quick travel thing. But yeah, it looks really good. The mechanics seem to be working good, and can't wait to get this game eventually and play
Yeah.
with you guys. So
Yeah, I think it's coming out in March, right?
yeah, yeah, my birthday month. So
Nice.
we will see. But on to our roundtable review. We're done with their news. Dorian, take it away.
All right. So, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're going to be talking about Wandavision. So, we
Two
had
episodes,
two
actually.
two episodes that for its debut. So, that being said, we're going to go into spoiler territory for the most part. So, if
Yeah.
you haven't watched it, turn the show off, come back, or just don't
Skip
complain
forward
at
just
us.
a couple
Or
couple minutes.
yeah. So, anyhow, so WandaVision, what'd you think?
It was okay. I'll probably have to rewatch some of it. It was what it said it was. It's a sitcom, kind of shrouded in a little bit of mystery.
Yeah.
Um, For having the first 2 episodes, we don't really have a lot of information as to what that is, though. Like, what is this show about? I don't know yet. And we're 2 episodes in of how many is it? 8 or 10? I can't remember how many they said.
It's 9 actually.
Oh,
From
9 episodes. Okay. So, we're a decent chunk in now, and it's just starting to kind of take off a little at the end of episode 2, I feel like.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
yeah, no, we get a couple of things. We have some Stark Industries references. There's like these commercials that pop up, and for those of you, obviously go watch the episodes. It's the first episode's like an I Love Lucy type of episode.
yeah, kind
Um,
of Leave It to Beaver,
yeah.
Bewitched, kind of.
Well, the second episode's more like Bewitched.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably more accurate. Yeah,
Um, but we also get a Hydra reference, a sword reference. We get a beekeeper, which I don't really get that reference at all. But
I'm
and
not.
then
Yeah, I'm not
and then
entirely
we get a
sure what
voice
that
on the
is.
radio, like calling out to Wanda, and we don't really, and that keeps popping up when the radio's on, so we don't really know who that is either. For
Right.
me, it was an okay, fine episodes. I was just trying to figure out, obviously, where this is going to go, and I think uh, that didn't really get remedied. I was more interested in the show because I'm like, I don't know what they're going to do with it. But with what they have done with it, you're kind of like, okay, this is kind of interesting. Like, what what's the end goal? What's going to be like? Why does this show exist? So
Right. Yeah. No. No. I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I mean, I think the show or like the first 2 episodes that we got were just okay. Like it is what it is. It's very much a sitcom set in the era, and it draws on that like in droves here. You got the gags, the old school commercials, and like
yeah,
just like all the trappings that you would have from like a 1940s sitcom essentially, but and like or 50s sitcom, but it does have like just a hint of like the mystery and eeriness. And I was actually a little let down by how slow of a start that these 2 episodes are, just
yeah,
because I figured like you'd have like a little bit more of like the whole like mystery kind of peppered out throughout these episodes, and really it just only shows up like maybe like on the bookends of each episode here for the most
yeah. There's a
part.
little bit like when she bleeds and it's red, but
Yeah,
yeah, you're right, and it's mostly at the very ends of the episode that keeps you wanting to keep watching.
yeah,
Um, and then all of a sudden she's pregnant, and you're like, wait, what is going on? Like,
yeah, exactly.
so
And I mean, yeah, I mean, let's just put it this way. If you ever thought like, we need Marvel characters in a sitcom and all that, man, is this your show here?
yeah,
Uh I mean, that being said, I mean, as someone who actually did kind of grow up with some older sitcoms, I mean, this
yeah, I did too.
really did, this really did not do much for me here, in all honesty, in terms of like that whole like 1940s, 50s sitcom vibe here, just because it was just like this could have easily just been a just a regular old sitcom that just
Totally.
happened to feature Marvel characters, which I mean, I guess, is what they were going for, but I mean, that's not quite what I was kind of hoping that the show would be here. I
Yeah.
mean, granted, this is only 2 episodes in, so there's still a decent amount of time for them to actually start building up the intrigue and start making things a little more interesting here. But they definitely need to kick it up a couple of notches in the upcoming episodes if they want to maintain my interest here. Otherwise, I kind of feel like
I think they have to, just to tell a story. Like, they just have to. It has to
yeah,
kinda up the ante in the next episode or 2.
I agree. Now,
Well, and at the end of
here,
the episode, it turns all colorful.
right, it does, yeah. Now, here's my hope. Now, technically, this is not a sitcom, but I would love it if they did something like towards the end of the show in the style of The Office or something like that here.
That would be cool.
I think that would be I think that could be hilarious, but
Yeah,
that might be asking for too much.
probably.
So Anyhow, so next up on the agenda here, we are talking Star Wars High Republic. So, first comic issue to come out. I haven't read it. Brett, you've read it. What do you think?
Pretty good. It's obviously just the first issue. I haven't read the book yet. I have it right now, but I've just been kind of waiting. I have a lot of other books I've been wanting to finish up, and then I'll get to it. But
Sure.
pretty good. Much different feeling than I thought. It definitely is different from other Star Wars times. So different from the sequels, the prequels, and the original trilogy. It has its own distinct vibe, in my opinion.
Okay.
Um,
Is there anything in particular that it does that
so
like sets
things
it apart?
For yeah, like the language they use is a little different from what you're used to in Star Wars, I feel like. Um, it's very night driven. Like I can't remember the saying they have. I forgot to write it down, but uh it's kind of like one of those things like a knight of the Templar or a knight of the round table would say to another knight and they'd repeat something back to him, or
Gotcha. Kind of
like
like a mantra or something
yeah,
like that.
exactly. Some
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
mantra. Um, Getting heavy sci-fi vibes from the series. Sci-fi in the traditional sense, not the Star Wars sci-fi.
Right, which I mean
Um,
is more like sci-fi fantasy by and
yeah,
large here.
yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely
Okay.
get the fantasy, but this issue is about a Padawan becoming a Jedi Knight, with leaves us with a lot of questions about her master. Could he be a traitor? This, that, and the other thing. Um, it brings up this new term called Jedi Marshal, which they didn't elaborate on at all. Excuse me.
I kind of wonder if that's like going to be essentially just the title for like those Jedi that kind of go out into the outer rim and try to bring the Republic to those planets or something like that.
There's potential there. I mean, the person who got the kind of the I don't know if you want to call it promotion or rank of marshal was already a
Mhm.
Jedi master, so not really sure what they're going to do there. The Padawan that we follow's name is Keeve Trennis,
Okay.
and she has a really dope looking double bladed green lightsaber
Okay.
that she's using in the issue.
I mean, I'm all about the double bladed lightsabers here.
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad they brought that into the fold. Her Jedi master's name is Skier. So it's with two S's.
Hmm.
He's like a reptilian. I think I can't remember the name of the race, but they're reptilian. They can like kind of like lizards. They can grow their limbs back. He got like his arm cut off in some incident. He
I
has a
mean,
blue lightsaber with like a almost like a I don't know like those old like it looks like a rapier almost like where it covers like your fist. You know what I'm talking about?
oh
Like
yeah, like a handguard. Yeah.
yeah, a handguard basically on his lightsaber and it's blue. Pretty sweet
Yeah.
too.
I just
Um,
want to say real quick, man, like you won the lottery in the Star Wars universe if you're a species that can grow a limb back here.
yeah, yep, big time. And then we got or I can't remember if it was Scar Chris. I might have mistyped it, but uh, as a Jedi Master, that's the Jedi Master and Marshal that I was talking about earlier. And then we got to look at some Grandmasters. Yoda showed up, and the other Grandmaster, Vetter or Vitar. I don't know how you pronounce it, but kind of a Wookiee looking thing with horns almost.
Hmm.
I'm guessing that's the number one person, and Yoda might be number two right now. Because
Gotcha.
Yoda, it's they alluded to that Yoda's on some kind of mission right now, and I don't know what that mission is. Um, and then there's this central thing, the Starlight Beacon, which is the space station that helps people navigate kind of unknown space, and that's where you kind of get a sci-fi. They're like the place you call into, like, hey, what are these things? They're giant insects, and then they'll tell you what it is. Basically, like look it up in their computers,
Gotcha. So they're
and they're
essentially
kind
the
of
encyclopedia for the
yeah, and
galaxy.
they're telling people like where to go and what planet, like so they're kind of the navigation for the Jedi. It seems like right now, and it also doubles as like a not like a Jedi temple, but it's not. It doesn't really look like that. Um,
But
that's
it's like
probably where the Jedi live in that specific area.
it's like a hub for the Jedi
Yeah,
essentially. Okay.
yeah. So yeah, the whole premise of the book is there's issues like the issues all about her trial, the Keeve Trennis, and fighting these giant locust type things. And it turns out her master actually led them there through the Force as part of her trial, and she didn't know that. and it ends with her getting knighted. Her Jedi braid gets cut off, and it's kind of this cool celebration, and all these Jedi igniting their lightsabers. And they say another saying that's kind of like the Knights of the Round Table type of thing, and then you get a little tease of the master might have done something that he might be a traitor. We don't know.
Yeah.
Something happened, and so that's kind of what you're left with as the cliffhanger.
Gotcha. All right. So overall, you thought things were pretty good
Yeah, I
start.
mean, I'll keep reading it for sure. The
Okay.
next episode is going to dive into Skier's background, the Jedi who might have some shady motives, the master of the Padawan we follow. So
Gotcha. Now, so now with this comic, is this going to be kind of a little more separate from the High Republic book that
I don't think so. I think honestly he's tied right in with it.
Okay, all right. Like same characters for the most part?
I don't know. I haven't read the book yet.
Okay. Has the
So
book come out yet or
yeah, I have it.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, there's another one coming out in February also in like a few weeks.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, no, overall pretty good. Pretty solid for a first issue, I guess.
Perfect. Sweet.
All right, well, that's it. Thank you guys for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Check us out on our social medias. Like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube channel, and give us a review on our podcast. And it'll help us out a great deal. Have an awesome week. Remember, everyone's a nerd about something.